bold journalism.
But Drew Hernandez is a strong-minded individual.
Exposing lawlessness.
Drew Hernandez, who is ideological.
Finding the truth.
And use the word Antifa.
This is what they do.
Battling
They're
mainstream
liars. The woke mob, all they can do is lie.
These are the front lines.
Welcome to this special episode of Frontlines. My name is Drew Hernandez. We've got a great show for you today. Former D1 track athlete, social media star, and TPUSA fam Lily Standley is joining me on the desk to talk about free speech and the ongoing war between Twitter and Elon Musk. But by the way, Frontlines is now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other streaming services. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review right now. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, smash that like button, hit the notification bell, and share this video everywhere. If you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, or anywhere else, please reshare this transmission right now. But before we get into these stories, with the economic turmoil we've been seeing lately, we can only assume food shortages are just around the corner. Make sure you're prepared. Stock up on 100% American meat with Good Ranchers. Good Ranchers delivers steakhouse quality beef, chicken, and seafood right to your door. And with our code TPUSA, you can get absolutely delicious food and donate $50 to our mission. Good Ranchers keeps their supply chain transparent every step of the way, so you know exactly where your meat is coming from. Head on over to goodranchers.com/TPUSA today to solve your meat problem and donate to us in the process. Now is the time to support American farms and ranches and our mission to further the conservative movement. Help make what we do here at Turning Point USA possible with one small purchase. Tell whoever buys the meat in your house to go to goodranchers.com/TPUSA and get a box today. All right, America, Elon is still making headlines and the far left is losing their mind. The real fascists, the real oppressors, the real individuals that want to oppress your speech and put an end to what you have to say because you hurt their feelings and they disagree with you. Well, Daily Wire reports Elon Musk blasts NBC after host suggests Republicans or right-wingers are Nazis. Elon Musk slammed NBC News on Monday in response to a rant from a far-left MSNBC host who claimed that Musk bought Twitter and turned it over to the far right. MSNBC's Mehdi Hasan, who has compared non-Muslims to cattle, tried to downplay America's far left by claiming that they only want to give us free health care and free child care, while claiming the far right wants to give us white supremacy and no democracy. Take a look.
I mean, it's easy in American discourse to talk simplistically about the far left and the far right as two equally dangerous fringe blocks. Elon Musk has done it plenty of times just in the past week. But here's the difference. America's far left wants to give us free healthcare and free childcare. America's far right wants to give us white supremacy and no democracy. And this asymmetrical polarization of U.S. politics would be laughable if it weren't so horrifying. We are living through an unspeakably dangerous moment. The pro-QAnon, pro-neo-Nazi faction of the Republican Party is poised to expand dramatically come the midterms. We're just 2 years away from Donald Trump very possibly re-seizing executive power. If that happens, we may look back on this past week as a pivotal moment, when a petulant and not-so-bright billionaire casually bought one of the world's most influential messaging machines and just handed it to the far right.
White supremacy, white supremacy. Oh, President Trump's coming back. He's going to seize power. He even has the nerve to call Elon Musk a not so bright billionaire.
The guy who puts cars in space for fun. This guy is just so crazy. They're obviously very desperate because if you just switched everything in that video to be the exact opposite of what he was saying, then it would be truthful. I mean, what a rant. This poor guy is obviously so pissed off. It's very disturbing. I mean, when he's talking about no democracy, like, are we just going to ignore the right's push to try to make free and fair elections? I mean, everything he's saying in that video is the opposite, and I love Elon's response. He's just pointed the finger right back to him, seeing what he said. Same organization that covers up Hunter Biden's laptop story, had a Harvey Weinstein story, covered up, and yeah, it's great. Elon's on a roll. He's gaining steam. He's popular, and he's not a right-wing activist. This guy has a history of supporting the left, different left-wing organizations. His ex-girlfriends have donated plenty of money to left-wing organizations, so they're just desperate, and it's just another disgusting smear.
Yeah, I mean, you really think about it, like, they're saying he's a right-wing, white supremacist, sympathizer, and he's just going to hand over power to all the Nazis across the globe. But it's like, right-wingers are not really that trusting of Elon Musk. There's a lot of Americans that are like, I'm not kind of down with his Neuralink. He's kind of into transhumanism.
For sure.
The whole Tesla thing is kind of like riding the wave of the climate change agenda. So
100%.
It's like, a lot of conservatives or right-wingers or patriots or just like freedom-loving people are just kind of like, maybe, I don't know if I trust Elon yet. Maybe we should just kind of keep an eye on him and see where this goes.
They don't, and that's how you know that they're so out of touch with reality, because if Mr. whatever his name was paid attention to middle, right, or left America at all, he would realize that we're all incredibly speculative of what he's doing, and we're trying to make sure he's doing things right. We've discussed how it could possibly be a Trojan horse in general, Elon's moves with Twitter. He's got very concerning projects on the side. I was never a huge fan of the Tesla, like, hyper technology cars. I want something that I know is going to turn on. So I don't think he understands really what middle America wants and desires, and Elon is starting to, and he's pointing the finger back at these technocrat elitists and saying, no, you guys need to pay attention to yourself, pay attention to what you're doing, the information you've been spreading this whole time. I'm just here to ensure free speech. What a concept.
But that's what they're so scared of. They don't want people speaking freely.
Right.
Because if you allow, that's the thing, right? You could either win one of two ways, right? Theoretically. You could either debate somebody on a stage, and you could win over the crowd with the better idea or the better debate or the better, whatever you put at the forefront when everyone's listening, or you could just shut them down.
For sure.
You can just shut their mouths so they can't say anything, and it seems that's the route they want to go. That's the route they've been going. I mean, they deplatformed a sitting president of the freaking United States of America. Are we just supposed to believe, Lily, that, these people are just, they're the oppressed. They're the ones that are going to have their speech censored? No, like you said, they are literally doing this.
Right.
They've been doing it, but they're just losing. They're afraid of losing the power to continue to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the right has said time and time again, if you're on the side of the mainstream media, the colleges, the professional athletes, the people on TV, you're not really part of the oppressed group. You're not the resistance. You're the one enforcing all of these ideas. As you were talking about, Aristotle actually said that we are the speaking beings. Speech and debate is one of the only, like you said, two ways to govern people, through force or through speech and debate. One is easier than the other. One requires no critical thinking and no integrity. And so that's why they go around, like we saw in the past, hold up the fist, or we're going to smash you with a bat. When you don't have to think through ideas, you can just control people through totalitarianism, and that seems to be their only option, because we know that their ideas have no basis, no ultimate value, no truth, and so therefore you can't have speech and debate. They have to control Twitter. They're losing Twitter because they know that that is the one place where they can easily censor information. Like back when all these stories were coming out over summer, you would try to retweet something and it would tell you to make sure you read the article first. Or would you like to see opposing articles? They would give you all these suggestions to try to steer you away from the information that you're trying to look at. And as we've seen, it's just worked terribly and people are fed up with it. So I'm encouraged. We should take the little win from Elon, restoring some free speech for now. I can take that and continue to be skeptical of what he's
And hold
saying.
them accountable. That's the biggest part, you guys. I mean, you really think about what these people have been doing and what they continue to do. Elon said it pretty well right there, where he called them out like, you're the same people that suppressed the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Right.
You guys are the same ones that covered this up in the Harvey Weinstein story. I mean, Twitter during an election year shut that story down.
Yeah.
Not because they were afraid it was disinformation, because if that literally would have been the other way around,
16% would have voted differently.
Absolutely.
And that's funny and so rich that he is the one saying that we are the ones trying to throw democracy out the door. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
These are the stories and the information that people have to have so that you're able to rationalize it yourself, figure out what you believe to be true or not to be true. We've seen that entire story has been proven to be a very real and factual situation, and it was the media companies who lied to us. The media companies who decided to distort our vision and cause 16% of people to vote a different way because of one news story. We don't have time and space for that. That's not sustainable. They're freaking out.
Controlling people's minds. They're controlling the flow of information in an election year. And what Lily is saying is it leads to changes in your democracy, in your constitutional republic. Social media, Twitter has the ability to do that. We've seen that so many times. And it's funny because you see Elon Musk try and pull back away from that, but he's the dictator. He's Hitler Jr. He's the Nazi. He's the one that wants to suppress speech. They only do this because they know that they're losing, period.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking of speech, speaking of, thoughts and ideas, we've been talking about the federal government's new Disinfo Governance Board.
Goodies.
And it literally is like 1984 Orwellian like theories, self-proclaimed prophecies coming to fruition. I mean,
Yeah.
but I mean, Orwell just knew history.
Right.
If you look at history,
It's
it's
that
nothing
simple.
new. But here's Jen Psaki, okay, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki in the White House playing down the new Disinfo Governance Board. Take a look.
It's not, the mandate is not to adjudicate what is true or false online or otherwise. It will operate in a nonpartisan and apolitical manner. It's basically meant to coordinate a lot of the ongoing work that is happening, and what their focus is, the focus is on disinformation and threats to Homeland, as I noted, which things like things that would incite violent extremism, human traffickers and other transnational criminal organizations, any efforts that malign foreign influence, anything that would endanger individuals during emergencies. So a lot of this work is really about work that people may not see every day, that's ongoing by the Department of Homeland Security.
Can we just acknowledge that she is a violent liar?
Yeah.
She is a liar. She's lying through her teeth. I don't understand how she lays her head at night and sleeps well. She's saying that it's going to go around combating violent threats while Putin is still able to have a Twitter account, while the leader of the Taliban is still able to be on Twitter, but President Donald Trump was not able to exist because he said, oh, well, you better watch out. I mean, it's so rich. It's disgusting. I don't understand how anybody takes anything she says seriously. And nothing sounds more alarming than a government-sanctioned misinformation combative campaign. Yeah. Does it?
No, not at all. I mean, you really think about it. It's like, this is Jen Psaki. She's really like wagging her finger at you, like talking down to you like you're stupid or something, right? She's like, let me just go on to tell you how we're going to combat disinformation as I spew disinformation literally to your face. Because these people are going to be able to define what every single one of those things she just listed is.
Yeah.
What is extremism? According to the federal government, they're obviously not going after Antifa, Lily.
No, and President Biden's already said that the white guys are the biggest threat. That is what domestic terrorism is these days. It's the little white man. It's us. It's been us this whole time.
Or a grandma that's wearing a 1776 shirt with an American flag on, or anyone that has like the 4th of July tattooed on them. You're a white extremist,
also,
even if you're black.
Since when do we need the federal government to step into a platform to start censoring information? Is Twitter not capable of doing this on their own? They need a government-funded, taxpayer-funded program to start censoring our speech and our information at hand. That doesn't seem very comforting to me. I don't trust it. I don't buy it. They haven't done it in the past. They've already been wrong about everything they discuss and share information on anyways. So it'll be very interesting to see what they decide is and isn't misinformation.
The timing is insane, you guys. That's what I want you to see, is the timing of this is perfect because they know what they're doing. I mean, when President Trump was in office and all the censorship was taking place, everyone was being deplatformed off of Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, you named it. Everyone was saying, Section 230, let's break up these big tech monopolies. Let's hold them accountable. They can't enjoy the both of best worlds, being a publisher or a utility. Let's hold them accountable so they don't censor our speech. I guarantee you, Lily, these people are going to go on the offense. They are already doing it with this Ministry of Truth. They're going to go after Elon Musk. They're going to go after Twitter. In their minds, we're going to hold him accountable so we can continue to censor people and we can combat misinformation and disinformation. But this is what the left is willing to do that the right isn't, or even centrist. They're willing to go on offense like immediately. And they don't care what anybody says.
Right. Yeah, that's a very good point. That's something that the right needs to do more seriously, because the left is not apologetic about it, and they don't save any of their resources. They go balls to the wall every time with their agendas, and it works. I mean, look at our goalposts. Everything has been moved. The Overton window, it's all gone. The fact that we're even talking about a federally regulated disinformation campaign is bogus. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully Elon's able to hold his ground. He better not apologize. He better stick to it. He privatized the company somewhat. We'll see what happens.
I mean, okay, here for those of you that haven't been paying attention, You think about the 1984 like Ministry of Truth, and like you think of like some dark, sinister person that's leading it, you know what I mean? Or like someone that has like, like blacked out eyes, like with a
Super
hood on.
scary.
You know that tweet that Elon put out of like the, what was it? The Shadow Ban Council.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just like people in hoods, right?
Yep.
That's what you think of when you think of like Orwellian, censors or the federal government, people like getting their heads chopped off and stuff. Or, you know what I mean? Just communism, right? But the person that this administration has chosen to quarterback the Disinformation Governance Board, Nina Jankowicz, this is her.
Laundering is really quite ferocious. It's when a huckster takes some lies and makes them sound precocious by saying them in Congress or a mainstream outlet. So disinformation's origins are slightly less atrocious. It's how you hide a little lie. It's how you hide a little lie. It's how you hide a little lie. When Rudy Giuliani shared bad intel from Ukraine, or when TikTok influencers say COVID can cause pain, they're laundering disinfo, and we really should take note and not support their lies with our wallet, voice, or vote. Oh, information laundering is really quite ferocious. It's when a huckster takes some lies and makes them sound precocious by saying them in Congress or a mainstream outlet. So disinformation's origin seems slightly less atrocious.
Woo. Always with the eyes. Woo.
Okay.
This is who is going to regulate your reality,
And
Lily.
I don't know if I should be comforted by that or even more terrified, because she's a seemingly unsuspecting character, right? But so is AOC and Kamala Harris, frankly, and yet they are the most polarizing, psychotic, corrupt individuals ever. And you know what's funny? I saw a breakdown of that video, and on her shelf is a Vladimir Lenin book.
Oh, of
and
course.
people started like unpacking all of that, and they're realizing, oh my God, these people are freaking psychos. Yep. Psychos. What, do you have nothing better to do but create a little jingle about disinformation and Rudy Giuliani? I'm concerned.
But these are the people that they select to rule these communist, totalitarian regimes. You're going to live in a technocracy where they're going to, that is who is going to define your reality, America. Like that, literally that person right there, not me, I mean, I'm on the screen, but that person we just showed you is literally going to define your reality with the crazy eyes, psychotic, thinking that she's going to be the one that has the ability and the authority to define to you what is true and what is not.
Yep.
Yes, they need crazy people. It's like I'm living in Gotham. It's literally like, she could literally play the Joker.
Upside down world.
A female Joker.
It's literally the upside down world from Stranger Things. I mean, where black is white, up is down. It's just like Orwell has always said. Everything is the opposite. And you know what's funny is she's actually on video, and I think she even mentioned it in that video, talking about the Hunter Biden situation and proving it as misinformation. And she is the woman in charge of deciding what is and isn't truthful. The same woman who's got things wrong in the past. I mean, are they that desperate? Did they have nobody else? Nobody with a shred of integrity back there at all? The lady with the red lipstick is the best we could do. Maybe they hired her for her singing capabilities. Maybe that's going to be the best way to inspire.
I mean, you really think about it, dude. You need, if let's just say, right, if I was going to rule, if there was like this evil version of me, right, that was going to rule like this totalitarian, communist, globalist, society, we're going to transform the United States of America. Would I select people with integrity, that want to do the right thing, that have the ability to like discern, or would I just pick a psychopath?
Psychopath.
Right?
I mean, no.
Like,
People have to
makes
understand
sense.
this is all historical and this is all biblical. The people who are going to be transformative in the end times are not going to be dark, scary, looming characters that make you shiver in your skin. They're going to be the friendly guy. They're going to be the handsome guy, the most beautiful girl. It's going to be the people that you trust and lure you in, just like the devil does in every other aspect. And he's going to get you in, and you're going to support, and you're going to worship them, and you're going to be like, these are the people that are going to save us. And then bam, 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 family starving, war all over the place, open border, and all this nonsense. This is actually incredibly accurate to what I would be doing if I were trying to, take over the free world. Find people that are seemingly unsuspecting. Find people that are warm and friendly, just like our freaking President Joe Biden himself. Mr. Nice Guy, right? Old guy. No. People need to stop looking at how they are and how they are perceived and look at their actions. Their words mean nothing. Look at their actions and their track record and their history, and they will prove to you, because they say it, we are the bad guys, and we're going to destroy democracy as you see it.
You're absolutely right. I mean, they the devil masquerades as an angel of light, and you see President Biden up there like, come on, seriously, times are hard. Your family sucks. You can't buy groceries. Come on, man.
That's pretty good.
It's like, deal with it. It's like, yeah, We're dying out here, bro. But they don't care. They're the elites. And we're going to talk about that on a further episode. But before I get ahead of myself, here is CNN. Oh, the great CNN. We just love CNN so much here on Frontlines. Yeah, no. Trash. Get at them. All right, so here is CNN. They're talking heads on Brian Stelter's show, Reliable Sources, literally talking about the governance board. They're going to keep us safe. It needs to be like a global lockstep agenda. Here's one part of this video. Take a look, guys.
All the rich words.
This has been mostly a Fox World story. It could come up earlier today on CNN State of the Union. But I don't think people know what it is and what it isn't. And there's just been a lot of right-wing uproar without knowing what it is. So are you aware of this at all? What is this all about?
Aware of it, and I think the first thing is that it's a board, exactly as we say. It is meant to bring together people to coordinate a lot of the efforts inside of DHS. That means law enforcement, that means emergency services like FEMA. They've all been doing counter-disinformation efforts for a while to give us accurate information about human rights abuses, but also about disasters and where people can get assistance.
Do they not get that Americans just want affordable food and affordable gas and for their children to not be taught sex ed in kindergarten? I don't give a damn about what board they're creating with what people to regulate what three-letter organizations that we already know are corrupt. We don't care about any of that. It's not going to prove any fruit to the middleman. That's all we want, Drew.
But it's like you said, they present it to you like you're just like this stupid, helpless human that desperately, and maybe they're
condescending.
And maybe there are, there are millions of stupid, woke-tarded people out there that like literally just refuse to think for themselves. I mean, CNN viewers, I don't know, but I mean, the point is this. The point is, you hear their terminology and they present it to you like it's some like, oh, it's for your safety. It's for your safety. They're going to give us accurate information. Like, oh, because that's what we need so much, as if you can't think for yourself.
No, because they don't believe you can think for yourself. That has been the history of the American government since the beginning of time. That's what happened, in the civil rights movement. The African Americans started to realize, wait a second, we're being taken advantage of. We can think for ourselves. Allow us to have our own control over our own faculties. Same thing with women and the women's rights. I mean, there's a history of the elites wanting to control your mind, and people don't understand that history just repeats itself. They say all the nice words. Again, look at their actions. Stop listening to them. People need to dig into this stuff, go past the headlines, read about the board, see who's on the board. Let's look at their histories. I bet they're full of crap.
Yep.
Because that's every other government board that we've seen so far. So I'm yet again not encouraged.
Well, look at Nina. Look at the freaking leader of the board. I mean, that tells you everything. These people want to silence you. Well, here's this psychopath on CNN. Even further, making the case that it needs to be like a global effort, and the government's just going to protect us.
Oh my God.
Take a look.
But hold on, that sounds like common sense. But when I Google this, all I see is like Joe Biden's Ministry of Truth, and they're going to steal. There's this incredible backlash to something that sounds like basic government bureaucracy.
It is basic government bureaucracy, and around the world what we're asking for governments to do is to step up more and to play a bigger role in advocating for people.
You know what? I will no longer have any conversations with people who do not understand that this is a global agenda. The little man, the American middle class, the American lower class, it doesn't matter anymore. We are all one. We're all in this together. All the homies that have screwed up and caused wars this whole time, we're all in it together, and that's just the way it's gonna be now. I mean, do they have no idea of the struggles of the American middle class? None. They don't seem to care at all. They're so tone deaf to what people are actually desiring and needing.
But that's what that global agenda really is.
Right.
Is there has to be power at the top and peasants at the bottom. It really is as simple as that.
Yeah.
But this is why they push so hard. You see them out on the front in CNN just straight up telling you, we need governments around the world to get on board with this. Like, dude, globalism is real.
Seriously, and for some reason there is a fundamental misunderstanding that the left espouses about the role of government in people's lives. The government is not supposed to be your protector or from other things or tell you what you can and cannot be protected from. The government's sole purpose...
Well, especially thought and speech.
No, yeah. Their whole purpose is to protect your rights and your ability to pursue things of truth and virtue. It's supposed to just keep from anything, from infringing on your unalienable God-given rights, not to create protection boards over speech and then give you what information you can and can't understand. I mean, do they not understand anything?
I think they do. That's the sinister part.
It's all on purpose.
I think
agree,
they do.
Drew.
They know, Lily, that the only way to really get America has to burn, and these people know it.
Yeah.
And the only way they could do it, they're not going to fire a shot. It's smart. It's this total psyop that's being run on the American people that's been happening for decades.
So true.
In the education system, these so-called educators and professors, they're indoctrinators. You know this.
Oh, yeah,
right?
and they're in every level.
And they're doing it across the board with this cultural Marxism. They invade science, they invade culture, music, art, movies, politics, you freaking name it. And this agenda is absolutely real. And it really does blow my mind how people refuse. They refuse. And I think that's part of the psyop. Because when they're literally on national television saying we want global governments to be a part of this.
People are like, no.
They're like, no, globalism, that's a conspiracy theory. You're just crazy like Alex Jones. You're crazy, right? It's like, dude, it's literally right out in front of your face.
Yeah, they used to not say it, and they used to just do it, and now they keep saying the quiet part out loud, and they keep trending even farther in that direction. And Charlie Kirk was talking on his podcast the other day about a study. I don't remember the details, but basically it was a study of, will people admit that they're wrong? Will people be shown information that directly disproves a notion that they held? Will they still hold true to their notion, or will they say, you know what, I was wrong? And the vast majority, over 60%, decided to say, I'm still right. Your information is not true. So that's like looking at black and seeing white. I mean, it's really an upside down world. We're supposed to pray for wisdom. We're supposed to seek the truth violently. And when you are just accepting things to be reality without inquiring or looking at who's telling you them, that's how we end up in situations like this. It is our livelihood at stake. And I don't think people understand that. Because if they did, they wouldn't be blindly staring at their TV all the time. They'd be looking into things. And nobody seems to be very inquisitive anymore.
It reminds me of Yuri Biznamov. Remember that YouTube video that ex-KGB, he was like a defector, and he lists all of the ways of subversion and how to infiltrate a society psychologically and run all these psyops. And he said when you deprave a mind, or when you just completely take somebody's mind and you make them just void of reason, it brings them to a point, he says, where you can shower them with facts, you can shower them with truth, you can shower them with just the absolute fact of the matter. But that person has been so demoralized that they are unable to hear truth, see truth, identify truth. And I think there are millions of people in this country that have been demoralized. I mean, we talk about socialism, communism, globalism. We are way past a lot of what we've been preaching out against when it comes to socialism. They want full-blown communism, globalism in this country.
Oh, for sure.
But it is crazy how people are demoralized to not even be able to identify it at this point.
No, and that's why we're supposed to guard our hearts and guard our mind, and we're supposed to pursue truth and virtue with everything we have. And that's why the freedom of expression and the freedom of information is so important, because bad ideas will flesh themselves out. Good ideas will rise to the top. And if we're not giving the ability, that is one of our rights, to be able to flesh out information on our own, you're going to just be told what to believe. And like Saul Alinsky said, never give up the con. Never give up the con. You preach it over and over and over and over again until you believe it, I believe it. 2 + 2 is 5. That's what we're going with, and that's what we're seeing. And I don't think the trend is going to stop anytime soon. I think you're right. America has to burn. They're going to get it. It's institutionalized. It's at every level of our industry across the board. They're coming after our children. They're at the top level of government. And I think the best way we fight this is just in between each other. And we have to have those hard conversations with people.
I totally agree. You know, America, this is kind of like where we find ourselves. A lot of this stuff that we talked about, ministries of truth, people said that was a conspiracy theory. Oh, that was just some Orwellian fictional book. But here you are, literally facing it. And like Lily and I have been talking about this entire episode, is they present themselves as the good guys. They present themselves as your protector, or they present themselves as your security. And they use all of these buzzwords that make it seem like it's something good. Oh, this is to fight against disinformation, fight against misinformation, extremists, violent extremists, people that are spreading lies in the United States of America. We just want to make sure that we have absolute truth when it comes to our society. Sounds good, doesn't it? But why does the federal government need to step in and do that for you? Wow. We all thought that Big Brother was a conspiracy theory. Big Sister. I guess it's like genderless now. I don't know.
Big
I mean,
it.
it's just big it, yes.
Big eyeball.
Big eye, big whatever. But it's real. And it's absolutely happening in real time. And Americans need to understand that freedom is on the line. Your free speech, your 1A, free press, the free right to peacefully assemble, all of these rights that you experience in the United States are on the line. So do something about it. My name is Drew Hernandez. These are the front lines. I'll see you guys next time.
These are the front lines.
Well, thanks a lot, Drew. What's going on, everybody? Happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. That's what I heard it's called. I'm sure Jobob will be able to go off on that one. We're here live at TPUSA HQ in Phoenix, Arizona. This is what we're covering today on TPUSA Live. First, comedian Dave Chappelle got tackled on stage. I'll give a full breakdown of why that tackle was just not fundamental. But I guess it's a protester, and then President Biden is bashing patriots, basically calling them extremists. Not that shocking. We got that and so much more in the daily briefing. Next, we'll update you on the Roe v. Wade leak, as TPUSA Ambassador Lily Kate will join us to discuss the hot topic of abortion in America. Then our guest and I will highlight some of the craziest liberal meltdowns from the Roe v. Wade draft leak. And finally, we'll showcase some insanity, some weird, woke, and wild content in another edition of Jobob's favorite, What in the World Wednesday, followed by the news that the CDC was tracking you during COVID. Oh, man, we got that in one last thing. Let's get this party started. TPUSA Live from HQ starts right now.
Authentic, unfiltered, grassroots content and conversation every weekday. Live from Phoenix, Arizona at the Turning Point USA headquarters, this is TPUSA Live.
May the 4th be with you, right? Did I get that?
May the 4th be with you. The day
What
that we
is happening?
honor.
I'm so confused and upset.
Nerds are so triggered.
Yeah, no.
Let me fill you in. Captain Kirk saved the Millennium Falcon by defeating Slytherin at the Battle of Mordor. That's exactly what happened. That's why we honor May the 4th. May the 4th be with you.
Happy May the 4th, everyone.
I am so upset. I'm part nerd, so I am so upset.
Yeah, it's a very confusing day, and we live in a confusing world. We got Jobob, Madison McClean. We also got, holy smokes, a guy that needs to bump up a size in his T-shirt. Stephen Davis, MAGA Hulk. How are we doing?
This is a 3X. This is a 3X.
It's still too small. It's still too
Daggone it,
small.
4X. Here we go. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, they have a store called Big and Tall. I'm sure they can help you out.
Yes, sir.
But today is Star Wars Day. Just in case you're wondering what the heck we're talking about, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. You're picking up what we're putting down?
Yes.
All right, so that is to celebrate Star Wars, definitely not the new movies. I'll tell you that.
Goodness.
No.
But celebrating just the foundation of Star Wars, the lore, everything. And so former chairman and CEO of Lucasfilms, George Lucas, got that started, and the franchise began in 1977, and then after those 4 movies, pretty much went downhill.
I was gonna say.
I agree.
I see where you're going with this, because
Spot on. Yeah.
Episode 5's the best.
I will.
Episode 5. Which one was that?
Empire Strikes Back.
Okay. Let's do it.
I'll tell you-
episode 2 of 5.
I'll tell you this.
Yes.
I would love to sit down with the entire script writing crew and the director of episode 1. Because I feel like they're like, all right, guys, Darth Maul, Saber. We're not really going to have a plot. We're going to have a pod race, which is cool, and then we'll make a video game about it. And nothing's really going to tie together, but whoa, there's going to be some cool little scenes.
How old were you when that came out? Because I loved it as a kid.
Yeah.
Before I rewatched it as an adult, I was like, this is garbage. But as a kid, I was like, this is awesome. Look, fighting, Star Wars, Qui-Gon Jinn, his long hair, all that stuff.
That was great. That was before he was calling people up and he's like, I will find you. But I think, Jobob, you put together a great little video today.
I didn't put this together, but I did find it on the internet, and it was hilarious in honor of Star Wars Day.
Let's go.
This is the funniest thing I've seen in a very long time. If you're familiar with the Star Wars credit rolls, that's all the context you need.
Check it out.
Going.
Oh my.
There's so much furry lover Fury Suitor. Anarcho-communists fight the patriarchy.
Vegan, living healthy.
Vegan, of course you're a vegan. Of course you're a vegan.
That was so funny. I don't think that's
That was
real. Like, I
great.
don't think you could fit that many characters into a
that's
Twitter
what
bio.
There's no way.
If they could, they would.
They would, for sure.
I love the vote blue, no matter who.
Yes. Fight the
Breaks
patriarchy.
it down.
Oh,
Hallmarks of the leftists,
yes,
that's for sure.
all of them. All the hallmarks.
Wish we could make you forget that. All right, but there is news that comedian Dave Chappelle, he got tackled on stage from a protester, and we're going to give you a breakdown of who this protester was. He's basically just a wannabe rapper. But check out this video first from his live Netflix special that was being filmed.
This video captures the moment a spectator rushed the stage and tackled comedian Dave Chappelle.
Did he fall? Did
Yeah,
he?
what?
He did. I think he did fall.
He did
I
fall?
was curious about that too.
First and foremost, horrible form.
Horrible form.
That was
Well,
just
and I
like
think
that.
it's funny because the guy who tried to attack Dave Chappelle is the one that actually ended up getting hurt in the incident. So
Oh, boy,
that's what
did
you
he.
get, I
Well,
guess.
I don't know if it was from the tackle. I think there were some other activities that happened
That is true.
after the tackle. His arm was pointing in a different direction that was
Yeah.
supposed to be. We need to stop our comedians from getting attacked on stage. Was that Will Smith? Is that like an operative
It
set by the
does feel
Smith
a little bit
family?
like deja vu.
Like, what is happening here?
So this is what happened. So LA Police Department said early Wednesday they confirmed the attack, said that there was a weapon the guy was carrying.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
So
Yeah.
and he said that can potentially eject a knife blade when it's discharged correctly. But the attacker was Isaiah Lee. I'm sorry for even saying his name too, because he basically is just probably looking for clout. He's
Right.
a 23-year-old wannabe rapper, and his rap name, no name _ Trapper. So
Wow.
I did the
What a
research, so
great
you didn't
name.
have to.
Yes.
He's on Spotify.
Yes.
And he had a song titled Dave Chappelle.
Wow.
Man,
Creative.
there's
Yeah,
some
creative.
Very creative.
there's some bad hip hop out there,
Yes.
and there's mumble rap. Woof. If you want to check out some horrible songs, but he faces felony assault charges with a deadly weapon.
Fantastic.
And I mean, I feel like it was basically an assault on humanity, putting that kind of music out there.
Yeah.
And once again, to tackling one-on-one. You never just lunge. You never lunge.
Show me.
because-
Show me.
All
Where
right, so
are you
you-
tackling?
Oh, this is
Tackle on the
happening
double.
right now.
So it's
Okay.
Isaiah was lunging
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this. It was an arm
Yep.
tackle. What you need to do is
Please
you're
don't
gonna
actually
step
tackle
here,
me. I feel-
boom, you're going to
Oh,
bring
no.
in that foot, you're going to tackle, bring the hips,
Yeah.
then take him down.
Okay.
It was a quick
Okay,
Titanic
Oh,
scene right
that's
there.
pretty good.
Can't wait for someone to clip that.
Good. The next time
Go
you
on
need
in the background, please.
The next time you need tackling advice from a former D2 college punter, John Root's your man.
All right, everybody.
Ouch.
From 9 to 21, I played tight end and D end. Okay, I wasn't always a punter, but root the boot for life.
9-year-old John tackling
Little
kids.
plug.
This one to wrap up the daily briefing. So President Biden started publicly bashing people that want to make America great again.
Yeah.
Essentially just calling them extremists. Check out this video.
Because this MAGA crowd is really the most extreme political organization that's existed in American history, in recent American history.
Oh,
Recent.
What?
not BLM, right? Not Antifa, but MAGA. Okay.
Whoa.
You can
Okay.
even go further back than that. Not the KKK
Yeah.
or the Black Panthers.
Exactly.
Like, wait, like, whoa, dude.
That's why he ended up saying recently.
Okay.
He tried to cover his
tried to
tracks,
cl-
but
yeah,
it
he-
did not quite work.
Nah.
Well, this is exactly what the Department of Homeland Security is saying, though, too. You have Alejandro Mayorkas it's saying, like, our biggest threat is white supremacy. So, and that's what they're going to say.
That's it.
Anybody
That's it.
that wants to make America great again, like, sorry, Stephen, once again, we have to inform you, you are white.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Yes, it's coursing through my veins. The whiteness.
And you are a white supremacist,
Clearly.
according to President Biden. President
Yikes.
Biden had another bad gaffe, too, because I think there's times where sports teams, they win a championship, and they're going to go to the White House. But there's other times where you're going to have Paralympic athletes that are going to be able to go here. So Paralympics is always after just, I want to say like the regular Olympics, but that's probably just the best way for people to understand. And what he has to say to this Paralympian in a wheelchair is cringe on a zillion. Check it out.
Here we go. Don't jump.
Like, what if just hypothetically, if all of those people were able-bodied people, what was the joke?
Dude, there needs to be a gap.
Exactly.
Right. What were you even getting at?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
That's just so
bad.
painful. That is so painful. Of all the things Joe Biden has said, that's up there for me. That's really bad.
Yeah, President Joe Biden needs to, there needs to be a gag order.
Really?
Like, hey, we need you to go up there, and just like your wifey said at the Easter brunch, please, God, don't say anything.
Just wave.
Just wave.
Just smile and wave, boys.
Yes.
Smile and wave.
I would actually elect that Easter bunny.
Me too.
Me too. Over President Biden
Me
right
too.
now, if they took over, like more than VP Harris taking over spot. I say, just support the Easter bunny.
Let's go.
Yeah, there we go. Easter bunny for president.
I support it.
I'm with it.
Yeah,
Are
I'm
they
about
35?
it.
I'm with it.
I'm with it.
Let's do it.
I think
Let's
Easter
do it.
bunny's like thousands of years old now.
Okay.
All right, well, that's just about it for the Daily Briefing. We're going to get into the Supreme Court leak with TPUSA Ambassador Lily Kate right after this break, talking about the Young Women's Leadership Summit.
Hard to believe, I know, but it's true. They see you as a product. China is the blueprint for consolidating power. Down the rabbit hole you go. Are you paying attention now?
Once again, we're at TPUSA HQ, and you got Jobob for the commercial, and you got Jobob now.
Let's go.
Dude, that episode is going to be fire, by
Let's
the way.
go.
I'm not sure if it's out specifically right now, but the Socialism Sucks series has been crazy good.
Toot your own.
Yeah, I was going to say. Sorry. All of the people involved have made it crazy good. Unfortunately, they have to deal with me. But in spite of me, it is awesome.
Out of all the shows, it's by far the best.
By far the best
Out of
one.
all the contributors, the best. I'll tell you what. It is an absolute blessing to have me here. I am
Humble brag, Jobob.
You're welcome.
We have TPUSA contributor MAGA Hulk Stephen Davis. We also got employee at HQ, co-worker of ours, Madison McClean, back on the couch.
Yeah.
Good to
So
be
we're going
back.
to talk about the Supreme Court leak. We're going to bring on TPUSA Ambassador Lily Kate in just a second. But there's been so many rumors circulating.
Yeah.
A lot of people just trying to make sense of this. Politico had an article where it was a leaked draft opinion piece from Judge Alito. And people are trying to understand, well, I've never seen anything like this before. And, what kind of bad actors were a part of this? Do they want an uprising?
Yeah.
And I think those are some of the questions that need answering. Lily Cates are going to answer that for us. But she does a great job as an ambassador for us. She's also the host of the Sanity Check USA show. She went around and is actually asking people in person, what do you think about this leak? We're going to play this video, and then we'll bring on Lily. Check it out.
Do you think that abortion is one of the most sacred rights that women have? We have free speech, ability to protect ourselves, right to privacy. Apparently we have the right to abortion. So do you think that's like equal with the right to free speech?
Yes, I believe that if you want to, you do whatever you want to with your body. It's like your choice.
I'll say yeah.
Yeah, because they think it's directly killing a baby. The fetus isn't fully developed. It can't feel anything.
All right, let's bring on Lily Kate. Lily, first off, I'm being told from some experts that you interviewed there that the babies can't feel anything, and that the mothers, it should be just totally painless. And that's got to be 100% correct, right?
Right, totally. And it's actually proven that babies can feel pain at as little as 12 weeks. And of course, there is a unique set of DNA at the moment of conception, which tells us that that is a unique human made from the father and the mother, depending on, the biology, I guess. I'm not a biologist, but I do know how that
Well, tell us a little bit more about your thoughts on, basically, this is a breach of trust. When you have this draft opinion that just gets released, where do you think it came from? Because I know President Biden's had some thoughts on this whole thing, and then there's just so many rumors circulating.
Yeah, well, first off, I want to start with the Democrats were ready for this. I didn't know if you guys knew, but minutes after they had their statements ready, the Biden administration had their statements ready. By the way, not to condemn the person who'd leaked the draft and, compromised the integrity of the court, but to condemn the vote and the actual draft vote that was going to happen. So first of all, but then minutes after, donation emails started going out from Democratic coalition saying, hey, raise money for women who want to kill their babies. And so, of course, this is a breach of trust. This is something that we need to investigate and, prosecute, bring justice to the full extent of the law. But really, I think it's a tactic of intimidation against the justices. The religious sacrament of the radical left is abortion and being able to kill your own children for the radical feminist. And I think that is what really the battle that they're choosing and the hill they want to die on.
Well, I don't know where that's going to be on their priority list, Jobob, because they really have to think about parents at schools that are going to get CRT, gender theory, and
terrorists. You mean?
We have to talk about January 6th until the end of our days. So I don't know when they're really going to find time.
So I've been focusing on not a different component of it, but the leak itself. The Supreme Court is the last vestige, I think, of American culture. People pretty much trust the Supreme Court. With the leak coming out, there's a huge lack of trust in the Supreme Court. Jonathan Turley, a law professor, said that there's no way to overstate how damaging this leak is within the Supreme Court, because all of these clerks work together. Do you think it's as damaging as we're thinking now, or is this are people overblowing it? I'm actually curious.
No, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, obviously, and I don't work in the courts, but this is the first time that a leak of a draft has ever happened in the whole 250 years that our country has been alive, right? And I think that definitely we need to focus on how huge that is, but we also need to focus on the fact that no Democrat, leftist, or anyone left of the aisle of Mitch McConnell has come out and condemned the idea that there has been a leak. And I would also like to point out, they're saying, oh, it's a threat to our democracy. But if Roe is overturned, what it's going to do is send the question back to the states, which is actually putting it back in the hands of the people who vote for the legislators that can make decisions about abortion in the states. And so, when they say it's an attack on democracy, it's actually restoring what a democracy is actually supposed to be, because we're supposed to vote for our legislators and they're supposed to make the laws regarding abortion. So, there's a little bit of flaw in that logic there. But again, this leak it's unprecedented. It's never happened before. And we need to always come back to the fact that no one on the Democratic side is condemning the person, whoever it is, once they find who that person is who leaked it.
See, this is why I have an issue with this situation right here. Not only are no one on the left really condemning this, but why is this not considered an insurrection in and of itself? I mean, you're trying to upend the rule of law and trying to intimidate Supreme Court justices. What kind of penalty will this bring about for whoever's caught in the type of situation like this? Or is it going to be steep fines or jail time? I don't know. Is it just that? Is it just disbarment?
At least.
I'm not sure, and I hope whatever it is the fullest extent of the law is totally being brought down upon that person, because they've not only breached the trust of the court, but they've also breached the trust of the contract that they signed to be in that position. Whoever confirmed this document actually going out to Politico should definitely be held accountable for that. And hey, if that's a justice, then that justice needs to be impeached, removed, disbarred, and we need to remember that, because this cannot set a precedent that you can intimidate and leak documents from the Supreme Court, because otherwise, what's going to stop them from doing that in the future if there are no consequences for it?
Right.
Tell us a little bit more about the conversations you have with people in person, because we talk about that all the time here, that we need to have conversations about abortion. And it's a very, very hot topic, and it gets people very emotional. Even the video that we showed, obviously people have been able to manipulate language a little bit and misinterpret what actually a baby is. They start calling it a fetus. They got a clump of cells, and then it should just be a women's issue. If you have no uterus, you have no opinion.
A what now?
A what?
What is that term that you use?
Well, we can have babies, but we don't have uteruses.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So the science makes sense.
It makes total sense. Right. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit.
Coming from a birthing person over here. Yeah.
Good.
I just think it's funny how they remembered what a woman was real quick. They all of a sudden the definition meant something again. But about the conversations, I mean, of course, as a Christian, you need to approach these heavy conversations. I mean, you're literally talking about the murder of 62 million children and legislation that is regarding that. So you need to approach this conversation with expert rhetoric. You need to be careful about your words, but always bring it back to humanizing the baby, because this conversation is not about a woman's right to choose. It's not about the constitutionality of keeping the government out of my body. No, this is a conversation about children, about babies, and about a quote unquote religious sacrament of the radical left. And we need to rehumanize these people, whoever they are, you know, these children, and talk about the blessing and the beautiful thing that life is. And then everything from that, we need to encourage women. And again, we need to encourage the church to be able to take in all these different women from 26 trigger states that are ready to say, you know, if Roe is overturned, we're going to ban abortion completely. Texas, my state, is one of the states that is going to do that. And so we're going to see an influx of, you know, young moms, and the church and our community as conservatives needs to be ready for that.
And I think this would be interesting to bring you in on, Madison, is Christine Jurgen, great friend of ours, TPUSA ambassador with us, and so pro-life.
Yeah.
And just on the front lines with all this. She said all abortion does is empower men. Empowers men to just have casual sex. And then if there's a baby in that, there's no repercussions for them. There's no consequences whatsoever. And I think it just, unfortunately, empowers some deeply depraved men out there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And I think it's really, this whole thing kind of paints the picture of how important it is to have these conversations and to bring about more advocacy about what abortion actually looks like and what it does to women and how it affects their families and just their daily lives. It's just, it takes a horrible toll on so many women, and it ultimately allows so many children to never even take their first breath. And I think the big picture here is what this is bringing about is there needs to be more outspoken people who are stepping out in faith and saying, hey, this is what's happening. This is how many babies are dying at the hands of abortion doctors every single day and every single year in America. And, you know, here are some things that we need to do to fix it. And I think conservatives are doing a really good PR job for the left right now by doing nothing about it. And so I think we need to have more loud and outspoken voices. So.
Amen to that. Lily, where do you think this goes from here? Because obviously there's the left that just has their statements ready. They got their specific lines that they are going to just reiterate, and they're going to say it's just a woman's choice. That's it. We're protecting women's rights. That's it. What do you think? Is there going to be riots in the streets? Is this going to create even more division in the country? What's going to happen?
Yeah, well, we're already seeing tons of rioting happening. I mean, for the last 12 hours in front of the Supreme Court Justice Building, there have been riots. There have been people are blowing up the Supreme Court justices, Amy Coney, Brett Kavanaugh, their heads on these big posters and screaming outside of the Supreme Court. Shout out to Libs of TikTok, who's doing a fantastic job at covering all this on the front lines. But I believe that if the justices stay strong and vote to overturn Roe, what it's going to do, as I said earlier, is 26 states are going to make abortion completely illegal with the trigger laws that they passed in the past session. And this will essentially make red states redder and blue states bluer, because blue states like New York or California are going to become quote unquote abortion sanctuaries. And we're seeing them do this already. They're trying to pass laws. They're trying to kill the filibuster. They're trying to, New York is going to make abortion, you know, already up until birth, but maybe possibly after birth. And as I said, states like Texas are going to say no more. All of our Planned Parenthoods are going to be shut down. And it's going to really make an ideological divide really in the United States. And so it'll be interesting to see where it goes. But again, I mean, if we divide more politically, that's fine as long as more babies are being saved.
That's right.
I love it. Well, Lily, thanks so much for everything you do. Before we let you go, where can people follow you and make sure they can get all this good content you're doing on the front lines?
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much. And you can follow me on Instagram at It's Lily Kate. But if you want to see more stuff from Sanity Check, my show, at Sanity Check USA on Instagram and TikTok.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's Lily Kate, TPUSA ambassador. Lily, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we're going to be right back, and we are definitely going to give you a breakdown of the liberal meltdown after this Politico opinion draft piece was leaked. Don't go anywhere.
Yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47.
Abortion, I salute you! Women, if you need an abortion, get one! You said police defund!
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on to the next generation. Activate freedom. Join Patriot Mobile.
That was an awesome commercial.
Right?
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 So
With the
good.
lightsaber
And everything, yeah.
That's so cool.
May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th
be with you.
How appropriate.
Live long and
How
prosper.
appropriate.
Oh.
We got Jobob, MAGA Hulk, Stephen Davis, Madison McClean. I'm John Root. So we were just talking to TPUSA Ambassador Lily Kate about this leaked draft opinion piece, talking about Roe v. Wade, and obviously, just like she said, it seems like the left, they were ready for this.
Yeah,
I don't think this
exactly.
is just some sort of coincidence.
Nope.
This is a deliberate attack on the rule of law.
Yeah.
And I think, once again, I hope that someone is held to the full extent of the law, but we got to talk about the liberal meltdown.
It's lovely.
Oh man,
It's
it was.
lovely.
We've
It's a
seen
good time.
we've
It's good
seen
times.
a lot of things on fire.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah, metaphorically and physically.
Yes. We got news stations that are basically just being lit up. Twitter is going off.
Oh, goodness.
But this one here, we're going to start with the Young Turks. So Anna
boy.
Kasparian, hopefully I'm saying that right. She has a total freak out on the show. Check it out.
And yet,
What do you want them to do with their kids when they have to go to work? What do you want them to do? What do you want them to do? I want them to answer that freaking question. Answer the question. Journalists, ask them the question. Ask them. Ask them.
isn't it amazing?
Ask them.
The only other option is killing them, right? People are so stupid. I'm fired up about this stuff. We're just like, well, I mean, they gotta go to work, so, I mean, if someone's got a full-time job, a couple jobs, just kill them.
Yep.
How is that the option?
Don't get it.
She could have been a little classier at least.
See, this is what I always explain to people when I was doing my transformation. I was trying to look up the truth.
So being a woman? Oh, sorry.
Definitely not that.
What is that you just said?
We need to backtrack a little bit.
He's a biologist, so he can speak to such things, okay? But what I was doing, I was looking up everything, and I was like, okay, left to right, let's see what's going on. I started with the Young Turks, and I was like, as a leftist, I was like, goodness gracious, these people are unhinged.
Yeah.
They're unhinged.
Yeah.
So that's what, like, when I watch that, I get frustrated, obviously,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I'm like, let's go plaster that on every TV in America.
Right?
Yes.
Like that, there's no better person who makes an argument for conservative values better
Exactly.
than people
Leftists.
like that,
Yes.
people like Congresswoman AOC.
Yes.
Like, I love it. Like, the more she talks, the better my arguments look.
Exactly, because
So-
that's the depth of their arguing. They resort to yelling, they resort to calling
That's
us
it.
racists and
Yeah.
all of these names, and that's as deep as their arguments go. And
That's
so
it.
that just gives us so much more leverage to combat everything that's going on, and especially in regards to abortion, something so serious. It's like, is that really as deep as their argument
That's
is going to
it.
go? Is they're just going to resort to yelling and name calling and flipping a lid on live TV? I don't know.
Well, that's why I think this is a total cult. And then you got some cult leaders like VP Harris, and all of a sudden just becomes like they are one of the leaders. They are a pastor for the pro-choice church. This is what she had to say.
Well, we say, how dare they? How dare they tell a woman what she can do and cannot do with her own body? How dare they? How dare they try to stop her from determining her own future? How dare they try to deny women?
5. I counted 5. How dare they?
How dare they?
Yeah.
Well, there was a significance of the passage
Passage
of
of
that time.
It's funny how they always resort to that, that whole Southern Baptist vibe whenever they go out there and talk to these people like Hillary Clinton. I wasn't always tired. I've gone too far. Like, shut up. gracious.
I feel like there's just easy rebuttals for this. How dare you tell us what the value of a person is? How dare you say that the only option is to kill somebody if it's some sort of inconvenience because you got work and you're not sure about your community and you might not be with the person you had sex with. And then obviously, once again, too, we do have a episode coming out soon just talking about how you can have these conversations. Obviously, less than a percentage is from incest and rape. And we don't devalue that at all. That's an absolutely traumatic experience. But like less than 1% of abortions are because of incest and rape. So over 99% are just because it's an inconvenience.
That's it.
That's it. And then how dare someone like this, a leader of the free world, saying that, you know what, I'm going to determine what the value of a kid is and go ahead and just kill it if it's just an inconvenience to you. That's it. All right, so no uterus, no opinion.
Here we go.
Obviously Madison's going to be the only one that can talk about this next one.
Did you just assume?
I'm pretty sure
Did
Madison,
you assume
Steven
my
and I-
gender, John?
You're a bigot.
Yeah, her
She
gender.
told me she, her before the show.
You got me.
But
For those of
clearly,
people who don't know, we do have pronoun name tags everywhere around the office.
That's it.
Everyone
Oh,
has
yeah.
it, and we all
Oh, yeah.
wear them as signs on
We
our
started
heads.
that trend, actually.
We did.
Yeah.
all right, well, check out this stat. Yep, so there it is. So John Chinip. Men I guess he takes photos. Men shouldn't be making laws about women's bodies. Again, men shouldn't be making laws about women's bodies. One more time, men shouldn't be making laws about women's bodies.
But they can play in sports with us,
Yes.
apparently.
Yeah.
They can't make laws, but they're totally okay to totally corrupt our sports.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
See, it's funny that what you were saying earlier about their slogans, all they have, like the young lady from the Young Turks, all they have are slogans and rotes and these chants. There's nothing deeper than that. Look at that. That's a whole tweet of saying the exact same thing, like it's Bart Simpson repeating the same thing over, writing the same thing on a chalkboard. This is all they have, and they chant it over and over. And you're giving them substance. You're giving them articulate arguments, and they're just in your face. No, there is no opinion. No, there is no opinion. It's like, goodness, that's all you have? That's as deep as your intellect goes when it comes to this, to your ability to want to kill children, to want to murder children. Your whole response is no uterus, no opinion. That's it. My body, my choice. That's it. That's all you got.
And then we have to remember too that probably around like 13 to 14 weeks you can tell the sex of a baby.
Right.
So why is it just the sex of the mother? Mothers and women are the only people that can have babies. Just a reminder there for everybody on the left.
Thank you.
So when they say something like this, like, what if that's a baby boy in there? So they got no opinion, but baby girl, that's when it starts getting into the conundrum.
That's when you're getting in the weeds now.
Murky.
They have a uterus.
Murky.
I think they should have an opinion.
So I actually am I'm mostly serious here. How come some of the more hilarious or younger millennial type congresspeople, like Congressman Matt Gaetz, I think it would be totally on brand for him to say, I'm Matilda Gaetz now. I can talk about all this I want.
Yes.
And now, if you disagree with him, you're a bigot.
You
And
got
he
it.
can participate. And obviously, everybody knows that he's not going to actually transition. But just for show and understanding meme culture and the way things go, I feel like he'd be ripe to do that sort of thing.
Once again, too, this is just creating a culture of weak men.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of men that say, this is none of my business at all about the murder of innocent lives. Now we're gonna stay out of this, and if we continue going through this cycle, we continually have weak men in society. We're gonna have a weak culture, and we're going downhill with tweets like this. But this is an oxymoron, everybody. A pro-choice pastor.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Pro-choice and pastors should never go along.
No.
Nope.
But we got a pro-choice pastor in Raphael Warnock. This is what he tweeted. So as a pro-choice pastor, that's a tough start, brother. I've always believed that a patient's room is way too small for a woman, her doctor, and the United States government. I'll always fight to protect a woman's right to choose, and that will never change. Pick up the Bible. Congressman right here, Raphael Warnock.
He's a senator. He's
Senator,
the senator that won
senator,
in Georgia.
Yeah.
As a little person NBA superstar myself, I can tell you that nothing I tell you is going to be. That's where the joke ends. Sorry, I don't know.
But this is something I'd say when it comes to this guy. Oh my goodness, this guy's ridiculous. But if you're a pastor, you're not pro-choice, and if you're pro-choice, you're not a pastor. It's that simple. And you got to be very careful when it comes to wolves in sheep's clothing, because they come very articulate, very well dressed, very well spoken, and they will charm the heck out of you. They will charm you to hell, is what they will do. So you got to be very careful when it comes to individuals like this.
And there's obviously a lot of people that are going to bring faith into this. And I think this is just a human issue. It's about life or death. But if you're going to bring religion into it, like you got Senator Warnock here, if you're going to call yourself a pastor and call yourself pro-choice, you got to be able to back that up with the Bible.
That's it.
He can't do that. I don't care if you go to, a lot of people bring up Numbers 5, and a lot of people are just going to try to say some like Old Testament stuff. Nothing stands up to being a pro-choice pastor.
No.
You have no backing theologically. You have no backing scripturally at all. There is nothing. I swear, anybody, slide into my DMs, put it in the comments here. I swear, you got anything, you're going to say that the Bible or God, the creator of the universe, and you and me and every single one of us, you say that he is for abortion, oh boy, I'm going to be able to come firing right back.
Well, guns
and that conversation is over.
Yeah.
Truth.
Thank you for your time. Senator Elizabeth Warren also was caught yelling and screaming.
Senator Pocahontas.
Yeah, Lyle Watson.
I like Pocahontas because it's like fake.
No, that's good. That's good, Jobob.
Let's see how it went.
Oh no.
Across this country, red states and blue states, old people and young people want Roe versus Wade to maintain as the law of the land. We need to do that. And we have a right. Extremists, we've heard enough from the extremists. And we're tired of it.
So this is actually, I'm glad we played this clip, because there's some other clips of her going just buck wild.
Yes.
Yes. But she actually, so this is I feel like a point that I feel like a lot of conservatives need to be prepared for when they're in actual conversations. This idea of the polling that 70% of Americans agree that Roe versus Wade should stay in place. I would be willing to bet, because that's actually a real poll. But in these partisan polls, the way that they ask the question is, do you think there should be no more abortions whatsoever at any point? Here's the thing. That's not what Roe versus Wade is. And I would guarantee you, if you asked people and they understood the ramifications of what Roe versus Wade did, which is bring it back to the states, they would be like, that seems fine. And those numbers would flip. I guarantee you. That's a talking point that they've been using a lot, and it is factually true, but just understand how they're spinning it and be prepared to fight back when it does come up in whatever conversation you're going to have.
Because this kind of stuff should terrify people if you just have the federal government that can tell you what you need to do. They just, that overarching power, just think about if that was like fully implemented during the COVID times. I mean, there was, obviously you had places like Florida, the free state of Florida was great. It's totally different from California, from New York. Texas was different than other states. Like, there is power in your state, and that's why these local elections are so important. And that's what I think a lot of people are going to find out this year when you go and just vote yourself. Just do what you want to do, and there's power in that local government. But a few more things that we got to cover. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. He went to a rally on the steps of the Capitol. Check it out.
It is hard not to feel angry, troubled, and deeply disturbed about what overturning Roe would do to women across America.
You know what? I actually kind of agree with him a little bit, because think about all the women that are in the womb that get dismembered and pulled out part by part, and there's going to be millions that are affected by this. So, Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, we're on the same page here. Thank you for bringing a light to this.
Yeah, it's just shocking to me, because all of a sudden they're up in arms about this, but for the past 2-3 years we've listened to them say, my body, my choice, about, the vaccine mandates. We haven't even been able to make that argument, because it's, not conducive to their narrative. And so now all of a sudden they're up in arms when it's something that affects their voting bloc. And it's just, it's crazy how quick the narrative can flip like that.
Let's cover this last one. So Senator Amy Klobuchar, she's been on Twitter highlighting that all this is because of conservatives like Senator Ted Cruz. You guys see, this is a part of the playbook. Healthcare decisions should be between a woman and her doctor, not Senator Ted Cruz.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Ted Cruz should not measure your blood pressure. But this is not one of those situations. I don't know.
It's crazy that we're starting to agree with them. I don't think you're doing what you think you're trying to do.
I don't think Ted Cruz knows how to operate an X-ray machine as far as health conditions go or health decisions go. As far as killing babies, maybe he does have a say in that.
Yeah. Senator Ted Cruz, if you're listening, please put just a full medical outfit on and start showing up to hospitals saying, "I'm here."
Yep.
I'm
That
here
would
to
be
take care of
awesome.
babies.
And also, thank you for watching.
I love how these people are so out of their minds. They really are. I mean, I saw a tweet from Representative Swalwell, Mr. Swalwell, Mr. Fartin Swalwell.
Yes! I saw this! I saw him post it, and I was like, "There's no way he said it." I actually had to go to Twitter and see
for
it. I was
yourself.
Like, sorry, I'm stealing your thunder.
No.
Tell him what Congressman Swalwell said.
He said that this man, he said that, not only are they going to ban abortions, but they're going to ban interracial marriage. This is what he said. This is what he tweeted.
Does he really believe that?
Yes, of course he does.
Believe that?
You know what? I have some sort of solace because thank God.
We live in this world.
Thank God, though, that is a congressman saying ridiculous things, but thank goodness we have brand new institution, the Disinformation Police.
Thank
So
goodness.
they can call him out on that
Yes, sir.
and say, "Hey, there's no way this is happening. You're an insane person." Thank goodness for the Biden administration issuing the Truth Police.
The Ministry of Truth.
Yeah,
Ministry of
to pound that ridiculous claim.
This whole thing has been weird, but it's going to get even weirder because we got What in the World Wednesday coming up next. We will be
The bane
right
of
back.
Jobob's existence.
And I hope you're filled with courage and conviction, clarity, and a little bit of wisdom. Know that we at Turning Point USA, we have your back.
Let's go, ladies. YWLS. It's going to be a blast. It's
It's
going to be
so
so
fun.
fun.
Nice.
It's
So
going to be
fun.
amazing. TPUSA.com/YWLS. You can use promo code Jobob.
Yeah.
You can use promo code Hulk. Oh, you
Indeed.
should definitely use promo code John. J-O-N. Get the H out of here. All right?
They haven't given me promo code privileges yet, so
Dang.
use these guys' promo codes.
There we
and come
go.
to YWLS.
Use all of
Good
the
luck.
men's promo codes to go to the women's summit.
Exactly.
Are you feeling marginalized right now?
Slightly.
I'm supporting women by making sure they're saving money.
There you go.
That's
There
it.
you go.
You're
Good
welcome,
job.
ladies. All right, so time for some of the wildest, wackiest, and weirdest content we found on the internet this week. So
I feel like we shouldn't be doing this because one, I hate it, and did you guys know that it's APIDA month, which is my people, the Pacific Islanders. So I feel like I should get veto power here.
He makes
What do
a
you
good
think,
point.
John?
I'll be honest.
I don't know what the DA
Well,
stands
what do you
for,
think,
by the
white
way.
man? How do you rule on this?
This is a part of the course of Stephen Davis's How to Argue Unfairly class, $9.95 on his website.
Just like we did years ago, we're taking over and we're not taking no for an answer. What in the world Wednesday? Just a white colonizer here. Let's talk about liberals screaming. Check out this first one.
Again,
gosh.
screaming.
Guys, they did it. I just got an update on my phone right now. They stopped it from happening.
Yes.
The
What?
screaming worked. Yeah.
Well,
wow.
I guess we don't have to do
Is this like
one.
Monsters Inc? The ladder, it's just going to fill up the jars.
The more power you have. Yep.
Yes, makes sense. Oh my, this is fantastic.
Also in Monsters Inc., the laugh was better, so we got to laugh from them screaming.
There you go.
Killing two birds with one stone,
There
which
you go.
apparently
Could you
we're not
imagine
like.
if Mike Wazowski and Sully showed up to their house? He's like, oh my God, I'm more terrified. I'm supposed to scare you. What's happening there? Wrong door.
We've got a 2319.
Oh, yes.
All right, so this next one is, it's a snotty woman on abortion.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Like physical.
How many times do you think she recorded that video to get that right?
And then she had to review it. It was like, yeah, this is a great piece of content. This is good.
That's what constipation looks like. That's also in other news.
Again, leftist argument.
I saw that. That was the prime leftist argument right there.
What in the World Wednesday? Producer sent me a photo.
I don't think it can zoom.
Me showing Jobob how to tackle.
Yeah.
In the daily briefing.
Wait
I felt
a minute.
abused.
No, that's definitely a What in the World Wednesday right there.
Yeah.
Jeez.
What a world we live in.
Good form. That's great form.
This next one is from Amanda Duarte. She's an actress and director, and she has a few things to say about abortion. This is what she put out there. All right. I do wonder how these white supremacist lawmakers would feel if their little white daughters were raped and impregnated by black men.
Wait a minute.
Jeez. She has since deleted her Twitter.
Oh, why?
You don't say.
Really?
Is she still employed?
Probably.
She actually probably just had a few contracts thrown on her desk. Yes, you are who we're looking for.
Yeah.
We had this movie with Amber Heard. We'd love to have you co-star.
How do you feel about bed defecation?
So instead of Rotten Tomatoes, it's just... Steven, what do you think of a tweet like this? Do we mind throwing that back up there?
Please throw that back up.
Again.
That is insane.
We'll throw that tweet back up there. Once again, I do wonder how these white supremacist lawmakers, because basically everybody that goes with pro-life, you are considered a white supremacist now, and would feel if their little white daughters were raped and impregnated by black men.
Why are we raping? Why the black men got to be the rapists and impregnate? Goodness gracious. Racism in a bottle. From when it comes to leftism, this is what it is. Goodness, and this is what she thinks of black men, by the way, in case you didn't know.
Yeah.
We're rapists, apparently.
Yeah.
Yes, and we impregnate white people, apparently, and this is who we are. This is what we do. I'm glad she got the smarts and the wisdom to take herself off of Twitter, because that is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got something in common. We're both off Twitter. Congratulations.
Definitely different reasons, though.
Very, very different reasons. Amanda and I are not in the same boat. You want to see a demon girl? Here's one.
No.
Oh, no.
I answered no.
Sorry, I haven't made any content lately. Life happens so much. But I will say that one of the smartest things that I have done at the library so far is simply put a pride flag behind me with a picture of my girlfriend. And I did the same thing that I did when I worked at Barnes & Noble, and I stuck tiny flags on the Valentine's display to indicate which books were LGBT.
So, I'm sorry I haven't been back on TikTok in a while. I've been smoking the shrooms on my cardigan, but now that I'm back, pride.
Yep.
Thank you for apologizing, first of all.
I've been really missing that.
Well, it's like, what was she doing? She had no time to make content. She's too busy being a demon or something?
I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Honestly.
Thanks for,
well, it's a full-time job.
I guess.
Especially when it comes to all these leftists. I mean, you better believe it.
That is true.
Could you imagine, though, if someone was working at Barnes & Noble or some sort of bookstore and they started putting the Christian flag? They're gone. I guarantee you that person is gone. But with someone like this, if they're putting the pride flag out there, like, this has nothing to do with their job. Like, this is all just propaganda. Like, in this country, be who you want to be. Sure, post on TikTok, whatever.
Yeah.
But here, when you are at a workplace and you are directly trying to influence your customer base, I guarantee you there's going to be a few people that don't want to shop at that store anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why is this all in my face? If I want to go to the LGBTQ, IA plus alphabet people section of Barnes & Noble, I will go there.
Yeah.
But why does that need to be
everywhere
around the store?
Yeah.
All right, so this next one, President Biden's had a lot of gaffes, but he's also had some meltdowns. Check it out.
Awesome.
Their luxury homes and other ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. kleptocracy and the guys who are the kleptocracy.
Dude, I'll tell you this right now. There's definitely times where I might be reading off a teleprompter or there's some sort of big word, and I'm going to take it out of the script. So with him, we have to know that there's some big words that you just shouldn't use anymore.
Or any
President
words.
Words like the or a.
Yeah.
Big words.
Big words.
That he can't handle.
Longer than 2 letters, probably.
Oh, God, there's more.
Yes.
More than 2 syllables in this one.
Yes.
So it's kind of funny. I made fun of this because it's clearly make fun of bull.
Yes.
And a bunch of people, I didn't know that this is what they were using as the excuse, but a bunch of people commented saying, he's had a lifelong stutter. I can't believe you're making fun of somebody with a disability. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I can appreciate somebody having a stutter and then overcoming that stutter because clearly over the past several decades of him being a U.S. Senator, he's spoken very, very clearly.
Yes.
This is not that.
No.
This is not a stutter. This is a cognitive decline. And honestly, we should all be pretty dang scared that this guy's handling the nuclear codes.
And you know what he was clear about years ago was that abortion should be
Speak on it.
rare.
Speak on it.
Well, and the Supreme Court went too far. In 73, when Roe... First of all, he was a sitting U.S. Senator 50 freaking years ago when Roe versus Wade was decided. And at the time, he said, oh, it goes too far. The Supreme Court, that's too far.
He rolled in a dinosaur. It was an incredible time. He was there when the asteroid hit. It was unbelievable. All right, so we also have another video. Pocahontas absolutely just losing control.
Fantastic.
That's great.
Fantastic.
Angling for decades now, and we are gonna fight back.
She had a tomahawk in her hand. Goodness gracious, Lyle Walker going at it. Jeez. Fantastic.
I don't know.
Chief Cray Cray.
Yeah, pray for her. She needs a lot of prayers.
She needs a whole lot of goodness.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. All right, so we have another one. This young girl, I guess, wanted to be aborted. This is when we know we've really gone off the rails. So I wish my mom had aborted me. Like stuff like this.
Why did her mom let her put that sign up?
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe
Well,
she's
it's a good
18.
thing she could be there and hold that sign for,
Yeah, how
for
about
crying
that?
out loud.
People like that, I'd actually love to talk to.
There's so many
please
jokes.
just explain that sign to me. Like, if you feel like we live in such a crazy world where over the last few years, people unfortunately have created or committed suicide at such a high rate, and then now you have people like this that feel like this is empowering somehow, and that being murdered yourself would be a good thing. I would actually just be like, hey, explain your sign to me. I'd put the mic out there and just go for
Let
it.
it rip.
I'm not here to just like, I don't know, cut you off. Like, please just explain.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a small caveat of that being a troll. If I were trolling,
that would be the perfect.
that would be what
way.
I would throw a mask on and have a sign like that. So hopefully it is a troll. If not, I actually hope that young woman gets some mental help.
And if it's real, I hope her mom has a happy Mother's Day on Sunday.
Very, very happy.
Yeah.
The timing of that is not very great.
That's very sweet,
Not at all.
Yeah, that's very, very sweet.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, so Elon Musk, we've heard a lot about the guy that's taken
that?
over Twitter. He's the guy that owns Tesla. He's got that SpaceX thing. He
Never
wants
heard
to
of it.
go to the moon. This is the best way to wrap up What in the World Wednesday. Dang.
Wow.
Fantastic.
That is a look. So that's actually what my hair used to look like before I cut it.
That's a good look.
I believe that.
That's a good look.
He was fun at the Met Gala too. Like just watching him just kind of like run around. He was hanging out with his mom. He had that cute little bow tie.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was funny. He's a classic character.
Well, I'm glad we have a fun billionaire. Like,
Yeah,
I think there's
yeah.
billionaires. There's obviously been billionaires, and they've all been a little off. And Elon's a little bit off, too. But I'm glad he's, like, fun. If I were a billionaire, I would buy the entire NBA and make them all play in skirts. Like, that's the type of thing that I like seeing billionaires do. Like, he's just, like, bought Twitter. Like, yeah, I want to make it more funny. Like, yes.
I'm with it.
Yeah, there you go.
He's very relatable in a weird way. It's like he doesn't take life very seriously.
Very
and
true.
so
There was
just
another pretty relatable billionaire that that we all know and love pretty well too. So maybe that's just a trait that some billionaires have.
You know what went through my mind is, John Morant dunking on someone in a skirt, and then they're just there, and it's just like,
that's not a good visual.
Maybe let's change the metaphor.
Definitely not a skirt.
Make them play with like deflated basketballs, but enforce all of the dribbling rules. I don't know.
Tom Brady
can help out with that.
See, I knew y'all was gonna go there. Y'all need to get off my boy and leave him alone, okay? Goodness gracious.
Get out of here, Steven. You don't even watch football.
If Congressman Swalwell had his way, you and Tom Brady would not be able to get married.
This is very true.
The final thing I'll say is, at this point, I would not be surprised if Elon Musk was Iron Man.
You've never seen
the only
this
other
like,
cool billionaire we've had
that's it.
has literally been Tony Stark.
Yeah.
He is the Tony Stark in the real world.
100%.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We've got a message from our friends at Freedom Square, and then we're going to be right back talking about how the CDC was using your location in your phone to track you during COVID. Ooh.
All right, guys, you have signed up, right? You've joined freedomsquare.com. If you haven't, why not? This should have happened a decade ago. How did somebody not think of this earlier? If you're a business owner, we have a business directory to promote your business to patriots across the nation. So if you want to buy American, if you want to sell American, we have a business directory. Whatever it is, go now.
Join us in the fight for freedom. Welcome to Freedom Square.
All right, we got time for one last thing. What a wacky, wild Wednesday it's been so far. That's what happens when Jobob's here on a Wednesday.
Indeed.
You asked for it.
We got Jobob, Madison McClean, MAGA Hulk, Stephen Davis. I'm John Roots. Let's talk about this. So there's reports that have come out because of the Freedom of Information Act. This was requested by Cyber, a cybersecurity podcast hosted by Vice's Motherboard. So it revealed that the CDC bought access to location data harvested from tens of millions of phones from the United States to perform, get this, analysis of compliance with curfews, track patterns of people visiting K through 12 schools, and specifically monitor the effectiveness of policy in the Navajo Nation.
What?
That's awfully random.
I didn't know about that part.
Very random.
What?
Huh.
What in the world?
All over the map. So Senator Warren, I don't know if they found her there. But they're talking about how the CDC said that this agency tracked location data from at least 20 million phones.
Well, that's not scary at all.
Not at all. No, this sounds pretty standard. Standard practices.
Yeah.
This is what we want, guys. Remember, this is big government. That's what we're all about, right here at Turning Point USA.
And then
Exactly. You nailed it. You nailed it, Stephen.
Thank you. I tried.
And then obviously they're going to try to justify this as well, where it's like, no, this is not about, getting into your personal space. And then once again, too, if you're on a cell phone, they're listening.
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And they know where you're at, and you think you're doing private stuff, that ain't happening. Should probably tell that to Tubin on Zoom calls. According to CDC documents, they're trying to justify it with this. The data has been critical for ongoing response efforts, such as hourly monitoring of activity in curfew zones or detailed counts of visits to participating pharmacies for vaccine monitoring.
Clearly.
Sorry, continue.
Eagle Eye.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You ever seen that movie? Shia LaBeouf, one of his best. Up there with Transformers. Just do it.
I feel like they don't need to track me. I could have just told them, I'm not following any of your stupid dumb rules.
That's it.
You can probably find me at friends' houses or in public places. You're not going to learn anything new. You're not going to learn that I've been following the rules because the rules are stupid.
Yeah. But I wonder how many people were actually were following the rules. Considering there's a lot of people who were compliant, very compliant, when it came to where to go, where not to go, what to do, hold your breath, spin in a circle, stand on your head, all that sort of thing.
Wear 2 masks in the shower.
Exactly. I saw
always
this video.
double mask in the shower.
Yeah.
There's this video where these two, male and female, were making out very intensely with their masks on. It was. So I truly believe that there are a bunch of people who were following such rules and were good, quote-unquote, patriots, according to Joe Biden.
I followed all of the rules, definitely 100% of the time.
All the time.
FBI guy. Did you not, fellow Americans?
Yes, I certainly did, Mr. FBI guy assigned to me.
I was thinking about that the other day, how I was golfing with my brother, and I was like, man, there was so much ridiculousness during COVID. Like, I'm out in 115-degree heat golfing outside, and they said no water jugs.
Oh my
Because it's
word.
about health and wellness. And I was just like, what in the hell are we
Health and
doing
wellness.
here?
Drink your water, man.
Yeah, there you go. How about that for health and wellness?
Could you imagine you just driving a golf cart? Boom, boom. What was that? At least COVID didn't get him.
In the closing minute of time, producer Aubrey sent me a thing. It is APIDA month, which is Asian Pacific Islander, but DA apparently stands for Desi American. I don't know what that means, so maybe I'll bring that to you next week when it will still be APIDA month.
Thank you.
Celebrate me, mortals!
I'll wrap up with this. Who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him? That is from Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Amazing.
May the fourth be with you.
Hard to believe, I know, but it's true. They see you as a product. China is the blueprint for consolidating power. Down the rabbit hole you go. Are you paying attention now?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard today's edition of Human Events Daily, powered by Turning Point USA. Today is May 4th, 2022, Anno Domini. Today's headlines: the hunt is on for the Supreme Court leaker, and we've got inside information of what everybody's talking about at the Hill and inside the court. Next, the political fallout from the likely overturning of Roe v. Wade. Third, Fusion GPS, new documents out. They pushed a journalist to hurry on a story in effort to smear former President Trump. And finally, CDC apparently was tracking cell phone data during COVID-19 to enforce the lockdowns. That's nice. All of this and more ahead, Human Events Daily. What you're hearing right there are the sounds of the violent networks of Antifa, of BLM, the feral left in this country, all across the country last night, major cities, from New York to Portland to Seattle, Los Angeles. These networks have been reactivated. The Antifa networks have been reactivated for midterms. That's clearly what's going on here. And that's why yesterday I said this isn't just a leak, this is an operation. And if you can't see that, if you don't understand what's going on here, then you haven't been paying attention. Why did this leak come out now? It's simple. Because there was a coalition in this country building of independents, disaffected liberals, the new right, and social conservatives pushing back against the regime. But what's the one issue that all of those groups disagree on? What's the one thing that can polarize this country and drive people literally to each other's throats, as we saw last night in the streets of LA? It's the issue of abortion. And so when this leak came out, and when this leaker performed this act, they knew, they had to have known. We're going to talk about this in a second, about who we think it might have been. But this is a highly professional, highly skilled, strategic actor, strategic operative, you might even say, that put this out. Because this is the one issue that divides all of those groups in the coalition against the regime. Remember, I said it before. It's not about left versus right anymore. It's about up versus down. But this is the one issue that does separate people into those traditional camps. And why is that? Because both sides see it as a moral issue. For folks like myself in the pro-life camp, we see it as defending life. For folks in the pro-choice camp, they see it as defending the rights of women. And they will go to bat, and we will go to bat, because that's just how it is. And this leaker, whoever it was, and we have some indication about what's going on, knew that would inflame tensions if they were able to put this out before the decision had been made, before the 5 judges, the 5 justices had stood up to end 5 decades of darkness in this country. So what's going on at the court? So first we know that the marshal of the court under Chief Justice Roberts has been tasked to work on this. We are also getting indications from human events contacts at the White House that DOJ Attorney General Merrick Garland very upset about this thing. And we've heard that he's talking to the IG, Michael Horowitz, about setting up a task force to go into this drive-in, because the Supreme Court doesn't necessarily have the investigative tools to figure out what went on here, that they're going to put Horowitz on it. Remember, Horowitz is someone who is known for tracking down leakers in the intel community. He's done leak investigations before. We're now hearing that Horowitz is in talks to potentially lead an investigation into finding out who the leaker was at the Supreme Court. And they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law for what they're doing. Put them right in jail next to the January 6th detainees, because, again, they were trying to stop a form of government. And you've got conservatives out there like Will Chamberlain, my good friend, looking at some of the clerks, because you know publicly who these clerks are, these far left clerks who have direct ties, in some cases even very familiar ties, with Josh Gerstein, who was the reporter that broke the story, who got the leak. So who would have leaked it to him? Well, potentially someone who knows him very well. And Will's drilling down on potential clerks who knew that. We're also seeing liberals out there blaming it on a conservative, that it might have been some kind of false flag leak. At the end of the day, what we know is a task force will be set up and a serious investigation will be done. But the worry, and this is the biggest worry, and I haven't seen it reported anywhere else, that the person who leaked this might have access to other opinions on gun rights, Second Amendment, on racial issues, affirmative action. This may be the first in a series of leaks that come out throughout the summer.
I've never seen you so angry. You seem to be...
This is what the Republicans have been working toward this day for decades. They have been out there plotting, carefully cultivating these Supreme Court justices so they could have a majority on the bench who would accomplish something that the majority of Americans do not want. 69% of people across this country, red states and blue states, old people and young people, want Roe versus Wade to maintain as the law of the land. We need to do that.
Well, that's Senator Warren giving, obviously, the reaction of really the postmodern leftist movement when it comes to this. You don't hear any response of a reaction to any of Alito's arguments. You don't hear any discussion or serious, judgment about when does life begin, what's the efficacy of Roe v. Wade, what's the legal basis, what's the constitutional standing of it, or Casey. You don't hear any of that at all. And you're not going to. Because for people like Warren, or people like this senator, this is a theological issue. It's a theological issue. It's like going to Catholics and saying you can't take communion anymore, right? It's viewed at the level of a sacramental ritual. And not necessarily the fact that they're all going to go get them, even though Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, apparently is shouting her abortion yesterday. We saw that. No. This has become a right. It's become a right, an R-I-T-E for the left, right? And the problem is, and let's just go back to it, and even Ruth Bader Ginsburg, when she was around, as far left as she was, as strongly pro-abortion as she was, even she admitted that Roe was a flawed decision. And here's the problem. It's not in the Constitution. It's simply not there. I can look at the Constitution and I can find freedom of speech. It's right there. It's actually number 1, as a matter of fact. I can find the freedom of the press, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly. They're all there. I can find the right to keep and bear arms. I can find the protection for search and seizure from the government. You can find all of these things in the Constitution. They're explicit. They are actually, to use the legal term, enumerated. They are enumerated in the Bill of Rights. You know what's not in the Bill of Rights? Abortion. It's simply not there. And by the way, there's lots of things that aren't in the Bill of Rights. And certainly lots of medical procedures that aren't in the Bill of Rights. And there's a reason for that. Because only certain things in this country were meant to be protected at the level of the Constitution. And the way the system is supposed to work, you remember this when you go to civics class, right? And you learn in school, they used to teach us in grade school, I guess they don't anymore, that if you have something, any issue, it would be at the state and local level. So if Roe v. Wade, if and when it gets overturned, it goes back to the states. So what does a post-Roe America look like? Well, number one, there are about 20 states that have trigger laws in place that would immediately return the practice to being banned within those states. Those are your red states, that's the South, Midwest. You've also got states on the coasts, right? And you can really see the geographic divide on this. You've got states on the coasts that would allow it at differing levels. You've probably also got states that would want to find some kind of middle ground, either going back to this trimester plan or only making exceptions for rape, incest, or the life of the mother, right? This is something, by the way, that came up in Virginia, where in that just amazing clip, right, that came out talking about this, I believe it was a state rep, and she was saying that her bill covered the mental health of the mother, that if the mother was upset about being pregnant, that it would allow abortion up to 40 weeks. And she was pressed on this, and it was said, well, if she's dilated, if the baby's about to be born, can you still get one of these, anxiety-based abortions? She says yes. So that's what's going to happen going forward, is that you're going to have to get people, because guess what? It ain't the 1970s anymore. This is the new right, and we're not playing word games about a clump of cells. We are going to ask specific questions about when life begins. And here's the thing. DNA was not at the level it is now in the 1970s. It wasn't even until the 1990s. A fetus has unique DNA from the moment of conception, period. And that's a scientific fact. And yes, it does confirm what the Bible taught us for thousands of years. If a fetus has unique DNA, then it is a unique and individual life, period, full stop, that will grow into a human being, right, if carried to term and is healthy. That's a scientific argument. And when you look at 3D ultrasounds, when you look at I've got an MP3 of my son's heartbeat at 12 weeks. We listened to it last night, actually. There is no way that you're going to tell me that even if, he's only the size of a blueberry, that that's not a real person.
All this evidence, this deep, rich evidence about the motive of the various characters in this saga. We have the motives of the Trumps and the people around the Trumps who were willing to collaborate with the Russians, wanted to collaborate with the Russians. We have the Russians who had this massive campaign to actively try to influence the election, and everything suggests that they should have met in the middle and colluded with one another. Yet when we look for specific evidence of collusion, it doesn't quite add up to what it seems like it should be. And so you have this kind of missing middle in the story, this great gaping hole in the center.
Well, as the Fusion GPS investigation continues, and by the way, that is what it is. The Durham investigation is looking into Fusion GPS. An incredible side story to all of this has been all of the journalists that are caught up in this thing. They're in these emails. Now, we're told, by the way, and of course, Technofog had the Substack out with all the emails, all the names. You can go see it. We were actually told that that was meant to be sealed, that that was supposed to be an addendum to the latest Durham filing, right? But what ended up happening, they accidentally unsealed it. Oof, oof. Sorry, journos. Sorry. You're unsealed. You're out there. You're not like, the Jeffrey Epstein clients, they all got sealed. The Ghislaine Maxwell records, they all get sealed. Elon Musk was tweeting about that yesterday, which was hilarious. And I think, by the way, may have also slightly been a reference to Bill Gates. But we'll see what that's going on. However, the fact that all these names are in here, they're showing you how the sausage is made. And this guy, Franklin Foer, was sending his articles to Fusion GPS saying, hey, do we have this right? Hey, I just wanted to check with you. This isn't journalism. This is stenography. It's stenography for an opposition research firm. That's all it is. They're operatives. They're operatives of the far left. They don't care if it's real. I get that he's going out there 2 years later. Well, there was a missing hole in the story, and I think there may have been, some mistakes and made along the way, some problems with it. Yeah, but you ran the story, and you were at Slate. And now, funny enough, you're not at Slate anymore, are you, Franklin? You got a little promotion, didn't you? You got promoted to The Atlantic. You got promoted. The Yakuza came in and said, you've done good work. Now we're going to move you up. Been watching Tokyo Vice a little bit lately, so I might make some Yakuza references, right? Hopefully, Franklin doesn't have to chop his finger off for this one, because he got caught. He got caught. And here's the dirty little secret. You think he's the only journalist doing this? No, of course not. You've got journalists all over the country doing this every day. But I've got a special announcement to make, by the way, today, when it comes to the journalism reporting space. Human Events, we are very proud to announce that Human Events has formed the Human Events Media Group, and that humanevents.com has purchased the Post Millennial. So you've seen them out there. You've seen the Post Millennial. They do incredibly great news. They do reporting. They do breaking stuff all the way from Canada to the United States, to the UK, to Australia. Some of the best writers, of course, all the names, Andy No, Libby Emmons, Ari Hoffman. They're joining forces with humanevents.com, which of course runs this podcast, but we've also got op-eds from people like Charlie Kirk, from myself, Donald Trump Jr., Christina Pushaw, of course, who's the press secretary for Ron DeSantis, Governor DeSantis. This is going to be an absolute powerhouse in terms of the new right and in terms of the information media space, because we are all joining forces now. We're going to have the commentary side on Human Events, and we're going to have the news side from the Post Millennial. So you're going to get a 1-2 punch like you've never seen before. And we might just have, I don't know if I can say any of this yet, but we might just have some other podcasts that are coming out that we're going to be working in conjunction with. That's all I can leave it at now. Maybe if you go to the Young Women's Leadership Summit, you might hear something else about it. Just saying, just throwing that out there a little bit. But it's really exciting. I couldn't be happier to work with such a talented group of professionals, and it really just goes to show you that Brian Stelter is a fool, lost his daily show, but don't worry, Brian. We're accepting applications for interns.
Each of our countries have that independent spirit, but we don't want to be told what to do. Well, I understand that, but now is the time to do what you're told. And I think it really is something that we should be doing right now.
We don't want to tell you what to do. We know how independent you are. We care about your freedoms and your civil liberties. But, oh, no, because there's new documents out from the CDC that show, turns out that wasn't actually the case. Because apparently the CDC, according to the new report, was tracking millions of phones to see if Americans followed COVID lockdown orders. What were they doing? They were purchasing data from apps. So they're purchasing app data that can track. When you turn your app on, you say, do you want to keep location services active? Well, what does that mean? That means they're tracking you. That means they're tracking your location. They see what your activity is. They see where you're going in the real world. They're seeing what other apps you're looking at. They're checking your websites. This is big data. It is a $1 trillion plus industry. So when you see an app out there and you say, oh, it's a free app, I'll download it. The app ain't free. You're the product, not the app. It's you. They are collecting. This is what George Orwell got wrong, by the way. George Orwell, for everything that he got right, and believe me, that guy got a lot right. The one thing that he got wrong was that we would ask for the surveillance, that we would ask not only to put Big Brother in our homes. No. We were going to put Big Brother in our pockets and carry him around with us everywhere we go. Or maybe Big Sister like Nina Yankovic, right? And I love this story. It's incredible because not only were they tracking patterns of people visiting K-12 schools, they were specifically monitoring. I love how they put this. We were just monitoring the effectiveness of policy in the Navajo Nation, according to the CDC documents. You're tracking the Navajo as if they haven't been through enough. You're tracking their phones to make sure the Navajo were staying under lockdown during the curfews. I'm like, this is from the woke people, by the way. This is from the people that are like, oh, no. You know, you got to be careful. You got to worry about, we were on, I was on the Candace Owens show yesterday. And apparently there's this guy out there saying that you can't watch The Mummy anymore, right? Because The Mummy shows English colonialism in the 18th century or, I guess early 20th century or whatever, right? They're trying to cancel, like, as if Brendan Fraser hasn't been through enough, right? As if the guy hasn't been through enough. And Rachel Weisz, what did she ever do to anybody? Can't watch The Mummy anymore, right? The people that are willing to do that don't have a problem whatsoever when the CDC is tracking the Navajo to make sure, and I want to say this, I don't want to say this, but was the CDC, I'm going to ask the question, was the CDC tracking to make sure that the Navajo stayed on their reservations? Because I don't see that from this argument, from this reporting. Is that serious what the CDC was doing? Fauci, Mr. Fauci, Dr. Fauci, can you give us some information on this, buddy? Because I love all those people, right? When the current thing was BLM and racism, well, then it's POC. That's all you hear. But then the current thing becomes COVID, and it becomes vaccines, and then it's vaccine, and Dr. Fauci is the head. And then it became Ukraine, and now it's becoming Roe v. Wade. Now it's becoming all of these different things. There's so much information flooding into human events on a regular basis. Our phones are ringing off the hook here in the studio. That's what's going on today. So ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand that you need to listen to this show every day for your daily dose of human events. And that's it for us today, Human Events Daily. Remember, our promise, our oath, our solemn vow to you, be good, be brief, be gone. And your homework for us, share this out with just one, if you're normie friends. Leave us your 5-star review. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your information. By the way, check the show description on Apple and Spotify. You get the links to support all of our sponsors there. What did we talk about today? The hunt is on for the Supreme Court leaker. We also talked about the political fallout over the likely overturning of Roe v. Wade. We talked about Fusion GPS making the sausage with journalists, and we also talked about Human Events acquiring the post-millennial. We're very excited about that. And finally, we talked about the CDC tracking cell phone data during 2019. What? COVID-19. But first, it's time for today's history break. Today, May 4th, 1886, the Haymarket Riot. Violent anarchists attacked in a crowd, attacked police officers, killed 7 police officers. A bomb was thrown, 60 people wounded, civilian casualties of 4 to 8 dead. Understand, the violent left is not something new. It has been going on for over 100 years, and they've tried to keep it under wraps. But not us. We're going to expose it every single day. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, you have my permission to lay ashore.
Hard to believe, I know, but it's true. They see you as a product. China is the blueprint for consolidating power. Down the rabbit hole you go. Are you paying attention now? the internet, imaginations were uninhibited. You actually had to find an answer to something on your own, not ask for it. Back then, kids would actually play outside, in their backyards, with their neighbors, for hours. Hard to believe, I know, but it's true. Digging in the dirt or sand was a common pastime. Some kids believed if they dug far enough, they'd find something or get somewhere. If you were like them, maybe your parents joked about you digging a hole all the way to China. Maybe you believed it was possible. Today's kids have Google to do the digging for them. And the internet is an endless rabbit hole, pre-dug by the new, faceless, ruling class of tech-taters. Rest assured, what you find on the surface has been thoroughly sifted through by fact-checkers. But down the rabbit hole you go, along with all the information that makes up your online existence. Your name, your finances. Too soon? Your location, your friends, that purchase on Amazon, aka a conglomerate of tech-taters we'll get to shortly, your search history, the very thing altered in order to build a case against a dissenter. Now, they can simply search the evidence of your wrongs online. Now, literal search histories are a tool, a record of every millisecond you've spent down that rabbit hole. Their rabbit hole. The guys who are as devoted to their consolidation of power as they are to showing face to China. Aside from loathing freedom and chasing power, what do China and American corporations have in common as they create a new socialism? They see you as a product. In the last episode, we asked a ton of questions. So we gotta follow up. Are you paying attention now? It's a lot of information, I get it. But you take in way more information scrolling TikTok. And all that information really does just make you stupid. Today will lead us to more questions as we dig down the rabbit hole to China and back, if we all survive. But that comes down to whether you start paying attention. Let's define our current problem with one word: consolidation. Consolidation, noun. An act or instance of combining or consolidating into a single or unified whole. Solidification, strengthening, the combining of several financial accounts into a single one, as when the financial results from two or more businesses are combined into a single statement. A statutory combination of two or more corporations. Adding China to this list of definitions seems fitting. China is the blueprint for consolidating power. Episode 2 proved how far it's gone in consolidating power both economically and socially. But it's simultaneously weaponizing corporate power in ways the world has never seen before. When you take state power and merge it with corporate power, like Xi has, you can use the internet and its conglomerates to do your bidding anywhere in the world. State power in China is about being on brand with the CCP. Corporate power is about being on brand with trends, which are often set by the CCP. Uyghurs aren't on brand for the CCP, so all that consolidated power puts them into literal concentration camps. Uyghurs exist within physical confines, but the rest of China lives within digital confines. For example, take WeChat, China's premier app and the digital landscape of online existence. The authoritarian control it maintains is every past dictator's dream. An app like this puts a user's personal information, social life, private conversations, search history, and whereabouts right into the hands of state-owned corporations. With this setup, it's difficult to call users the consumer because he or she isn't tapped into a world of endless possibilities that we might be used to. No, they're tapped into an online space of state-approved ideas and corporate-sponsored information. Users are equal part product and equal part citizen of a heavily controlled communist regime. Xi's overall consolidation of power has been described as uninterrupted, and the CCP as a force that's ultimately crushing pro-democracy and other activism and tightening control over business and society. I agree. China has 1.4 billion people. The state must continually advance surveillance to keep a grip on everyone. And its control remains pervasive over businesses, education, religion, and culture. The grip tightens whenever necessary via China's social credit system. It tracks every person and every company and is responsible for punishing even the most minor violations, such as littering. This type of surveillance state is spreading. Every day, we are increasingly ruled by everyone but ourselves. China pulls the world's strings along with a heavy corporate hand that looms over all of us. COVID and the Black Lives Matter movement proved that many of our employers and our friends want to lord over us too. When we go further down the rabbit hole, it all gets more evil.
Hi, ladies. How you doing? I want to kill you. Oh, yeah. Take a number, honey.
We love our fans, don't we? Speaking of fans, celebrities are spontaneously combusting at the thought of not being able to dismember babies. Was the Met Gala theme tone deaf considering the economy right now? Big CEOs are now rethinking giving in to their employees that are woke after the whole thing backfired for Disney, and it looks like Brian Laundrie's parents knew more about what happened to Gabby Petito's whereabouts than they wanted the public to believe. Shocker. I'm Alex Clark, and this is Politics. Celebrities are foaming at the mouth over the idea that very soon certain states could ban the ability to dismember babies in the womb if Roe versus Wade is overturned. All the usual suspects like Alyssa Milano, Sophia Bush, Billy Eichner, Mia Farrow, and Josh Gad are very unhappy that their sacrifice ritual will be taken away from them. It was straight out of hell. Number one, this was all leaked on purpose by a leftist with an agenda that has never before been done in regards to a Supreme Court decision, and there is no doubt that they are hoping public backlash and pressure works to change a few justices' minds before the final ruling.
Okay. Rethink that move, son.
If Roe v. Wade is overturned, abortion will become a state issue. Some states will allow it, and some will not. Some states will have a few restrictions, and some will ban it outright, no questions asked in all trimesters. And some states will allow people to have an abortion through all 9 months. The simple solution is move to a state that shares your values and move out of a state that doesn't. Go! Get out of here! Don't you understand? Get! I don't want you anymore! Get! The best irony of this entire situation is that all the leftists who are tweeting about how they must leave Twitter because free speech is scary now that Elon will be in charge have been tweeting non-stop about loving abortion since this leak. They aren't going anywhere, and the truth is, they love free speech. Seeing the Met Gala pictures roll in on Monday truly revitalized me in so many ways. As someone who can't stand period pieces or shows like Downton Abbey or Bridgerton, I even surprised myself by loving the theme as much as I did.
We can't have him assassinated, I suppose.
I actually thought the majority of guests did take the theme seriously. Billie Eilish looked fabulous. Obviously, Blake Lively won the night, and Shawn Mendes was hands down the best dressed man. He should literally be a character on Bridgerton. Kim Kardashian looked incredible, but it wasn't the theme, which aggravates me. I wish she would have worn that look to literally any other event. It would have been perfect. Like, if she would have worn that to the White House Correspondents' Dinner the other night, the dress Marilyn Monroe wore to sing Happy Birthday to JFK, why didn't she do that?
Oh, you feel the breeze from the subway? Isn't it delicious?
Anyways, what made me laugh is a lot of people were slamming the theme of the night, Gilded Glamour, saying it was tone deaf due to America's economic struggles at the moment. They said it was a let them eat cake type of thing.
Is that cake?
Maybe I'm the only one who disagrees with this, but it's a costume party essentially. I think it's fun to see their outfits, and in that moment, I don't care at all that it costs a fortune to fill up my gas. It's a nice distraction to see Courtney and Travis tonguing each other down, okay? CEOs everywhere are terrified to give in to their woke employees' demands now after seeing how it worked out for Disney. Disney stocks are plummeting, public trust of the brand is at an all-time low, and they've got the entire Florida state government coming after them now.
Have fun in Florida.
I think it's good that CEOs are rethinking giving in to any mobs because they should be the ones making the decisions, not their low-level employees. However, and oh my gosh, this is going to make some conservatives absolutely seethe. I recently heard conservative Jenna Ellis, who worked for the Trump administration, share why she thinks Governor DeSantis' crackdown on Disney is not a good look for conservatives. And TBH, I think it's worth listening to.
The bottom line of this argument is that we can, the state of Florida can contemplate whether or not Disney's special district is a good thing, but not for the purpose of retaliation for exercising free speech. That's the problem that I have with it. And so if anyone, whether a person or a corporation under the law, that's the same thing, corporations are people, are exercising a constitutionally protected right, like disagreeing with what's going on in the legislature. They need to have the freedom to do that without government retaliation. And the state of Florida and Ron DeSantis, who has even fundraised off this issue now, is saying we're going after them because they're so woke and we want to make an example out of them. And government cannot retaliate like that.
That is the ultimate hot take, I know, and I don't love Governor DeSantis any less, but do you agree with Jenna that maybe things went a little too far and this was a mistake?
Please don't freak out.
You know how when Gabby Petito went missing, I said that I didn't trust Brian Laundrie's parents at all, and they definitely seemed to know more than they were letting on?
They're hiding something.
According to People magazine, an amended lawsuit filed by Gabby Petito's parents alleges the Laundries were not only aware of their daughter's murder while she was deemed a missing person, but they knew the location of her body.
And I'd like to report a domestic dispute. We drove by and the gentleman was slapping the girl.
This quit my job to travel across the country, and I'm trying to start a blog. He doesn't really believe that I could do any of it.
The FBI believes a body found in remote Wyoming bushland is that of young Florida woman Gabby Petito. It comes as the search intensifies for her fiancé.
You were on a cross-country trip with her, and suddenly you're silent.
It goes on to say that Brian's parents helped him conceal Gabby's murder and were making plans for him to flee the country, and that instead of helping Gabby's parents locate their daughter, the Laundrie parents went on vacation with Brian and ignored pleas for help from Gabby's family, and that Roberta blocked Nicole's phone number and Facebook profile in September to avoid contact as Nicole sought answers about what happened to her daughter, Gabby.
I suspect foul play.
Juicy! Brian's parents knew everything, and I stand by that. My spidey senses when it comes to true crime are never wrong.
My spidey sense is tingling.
I hope you've listened to the Columbine episode by now of The Spillover with Evan Todd, because that episode was incredible, and the new episode drops tomorrow night at midnight Eastern, so get all caught up. Heart or thumbs up this episode, please. Do you think Brian Laundrie's parents knew where Gabby was and what had happened the whole time she was missing? And do you think that Governor DeSantis made a mistake trying to take Disney's special tax exemptions away? DM this episode to someone who's super into law and the Constitution. Ask them if they think Governor DeSantis went over the line when it comes to Disney's free speech and hit the save button to support us. We're back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. It's pop culture without the propaganda every single day. I'm Alex Clark, and this is Poplitics.
Clearly, Poplitics is best served visually, but you can also listen to Poplitics if you just want the audio. Subscribe to us anywhere you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, iHeart, TuneIn, and more. Also, make sure that if you are listening to the podcast version, you leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget, subscribe to Poplitics on YouTube.